You know what? I could kind of start off by just like flailing my hands back and forth and kind of just like acting all crazy and wild. But I figured instead of whining and complaining about my objections, I would just show you these clips and then ask you how they make you feel and what they make you think.
Confidence is the key. Pro-life activists were convicted and faced 11 years in prison for peacefully protesting outside an abortion clinic. They were singing hymns, basically saying, try not to go in there. They weren't stopping them. They were just saying, hey, here's another option. They were given facing up to 11 years in prison. U.S. Attorney Amanda Clough said, something is not peaceful if laws are broken. Okay, now everyone remember back to 2020 and all that time where they were peacefully protesting, and everyone's rioting and doing all this. There was lots and lots of laws being broken at that point. So something is not peaceful if laws are broken. Laws are broken nonstop. And they just kept saying, oh, it was peaceful. It was peaceful protest, peaceful protest. So which way is it? Which way are we leaning here? Okay, I don't get it.
Interesting. So he's saying that it was a completely peaceful protest where, you know, I guess some people are saying the laws were broken. I mean, these people did get convicted, so must have done some I don't know. It must be political persecution. It must be political persecution. That must be what it is, which is why they got arrested, because the protest was so peaceful, right? There's no other reason than their ideology. That must be why these pro-lifers were arrested, right? If you watch this video, you would also agree.
Be careful where you pray. The Biden Department of Justice has successfully prosecuted 6 pro-life protesters who now face more than a decade behind bars and hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines. They were guilty of the heinous crime of praying outside an abortion clinic. It seems like the only way to avoid jail time for protesting these days is to make sure that your sign has "Defund the Police" on it. Pro-life protesters get more time behind bars than some violent criminals. Now, if they would have been robbing the clinic instead of praying, they'd probably be out by now.
Wow. So, I mean, this guy really is selling it. You know, I'm starting to think that they just arrested these people just for, you know, being peaceful, praying, and having the wrong opinion, I think. Let's even watch this full-on segment here from Sky News Australia, which is basically a sister station of Fox News. By the way, it no longer has the same ownership as the Sky News that operates in England. But let's watch this whole segment about this whole situation. This is just an awful travesty, isn't it?
The Biden Department of Justice, and we've talked a lot on this program about their double standards, has convicted 6 pro-life protesters who are now facing up to 11 years in prison. What did they do? Well, they prayed, sang some hymns, and held a peaceful demonstration outside an abortion clinic in 2021. Have a look at this nefarious activity.
Praise to the King of Kings, yes, you are my everything, and I will adore you.
Now, 11 years for that, and yet we see the treatment of, you know, people who've done all sorts of things, you know, from the Black Lives Matter riots and a lot of other things from the left, and nobody pays any attention to that from the Justice Department point of view. What's your reaction?
My reaction is that this is a tragedy. It's another example of the two-tier justice system in this country. It seems like if you are a Christian or you support the wrong party, the Republican Party, in their eyes, then you get the book thrown at you, legally speaking. We've seen the legal system abused over and over again. It's not my opinion. That is just a general consensus if you look and see what is going on. Now, Paul Vaughn, he is a father of 11. And he's facing years and years in prison. And apparently what he was convicted of was violating a federal law against blocking access to abortion clinics.
Oh!
Now, if you actually...
Oh! Wait a second. They were actually blocking access to an abortion clinic?
Look through the footage. There's people passing by. Nobody's really blocking anything. But, you know, this is what they found to be. So he could be facing many years behind bars. And as you pointed out, the hypocrisy that's going on here.
Fascinating.
Is
this type of reporting about this makes me upset as a pro-lifer. And I'm going to explain why just by showing you the footage of what actually happened. This is from, what is this? News Channel 5. This is when the event happened. This is from March 5th, 2021. Here is what actually took place.
8 adults and 4 children got in trouble with police for blocking the door to an abortion clinic. It prompted a shelter-in-place order, and roads were closed out of an abundance of caution. News Channel 5's Alexander Cohen was there and explains what happened.
I fell upon my face and cried, "Oh, Lord God!"
Now, Juliet residents are used to people standing on this sidewalk outside the Carafem clinic handing out anti-abortion flyers.
By the way, from what I found during some research, this clinic is relatively new. I think it's only been around for about like 5 or 6 years.
Wanted to make sure they don't feel welcome to kill babies in this city.
But today was different.
The guilt of the house of Israel.
Several anti-abortion protesters went inside and blocked the door so women couldn't enter.
It was quite wild to witness. I'm not sure what these Christians will do from here.
Freelance photographer Bo Schultz sent us photos.
It was all very gentle, very professional, very smooth.
Some mothers that were planning to come here this morning and kill their little babies inside the abortion clinic on the 2nd floor. So a group of Christians decided that they were able to stop that from happening, at least for quite a while.
David Zastro says he...
Now, hold on. Wait a second. This is just a little bit different from what they said was happening, right? In the coverage, isn't it? Because they said they were just praying. People were walking by. They were letting them through, right? They weren't necessarily blocking the doors. They were just being peaceful. They were just being nice, kind-hearted Christians doing an ordinary, normal protest. Now, we've got this person with a very unkempt beard over here telling us that they intentionally were blocking the door to keep mothers from killing their children.
The abortion clinic on the 2nd floor. So a group of Christians decided that they were able to stop that from happening, at least for quite a while.
David...
And this ain't no rando, by the way. This isn't a rando. This is one of the members of this protest. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So the mainstream pro-life messaging that's going on social media and everything, they are at odds with what the actual protesters were saying they were doing at the time.
Zastro says he stayed outside.
Here, babies are murdered, and no one cares.
Another man who identified himself as a student at Reformation Bible College explained why he went inside.
Only aspect was putting ourselves between an abortion provider and the women seeking abortion.
That might be a little bit illegal, I think.
Called it an interposition.
This is not a protest. This is an act of trying to share the gospel with the world.
We all respond to ensure that it ends as peaceful as possible.
8 adults were charged with trespassing, and 4 of them were also charged with delinquency of a minor.
According to police, there were
That's
also several minors who were inside, and they were cited.
And they started to pass out papers that said that they were already arrested. So it appears this group showed up today with the intent on being arrested by our department.
Mount Juliet Police Captain Tyler Chandler says no one was hurt and no one resisted arrest. Carafem issued a statement saying their doors will remain open. Blocking the entrance into or out of any business is unconscionable. It is harassment, it is illegal, and it will not be tolerated. People eventually left, but made sure their message was heard.
God will hold this nation responsible for the babies we kill.
All of this messaging that we're seeing from like those people posting like those YouTube shorts, and I've been seeing people like on Instagram. I literally had to unfollow. I don't know if you're familiar with the typical liberal. I had to unfollow the typical liberal because he was posting some of the same false messaging about the protests, saying, "Oh, they were just praying. That's all that they were doing." That was so false that not even the Christian Post decided to use that same rhetoric and push that same narrative. And I think that's a good thing. It's very important. And here's why. It's all in the headline. Pro-life activists convicted of FACE Act felonies face over 10 years in prison. Now read this. Check this out. A devout Christian father of 11 children is facing prison time alongside 5 other pro-life activists after being convicted of violating a federal law against blocking access to abortion clinics. A federal jury found Paul Vaughn guilty on Tuesday of violating the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act, which is also known as the FACE Act, when he and 5 others blocked access to an abortion facility in Mount Juliet, Tennessee in March 2021. That is extremely important, and I think it's very important for pro-life activists to be aware of. And here's why. We need to be honest about what happened. They were not arrested just for praying or for being peaceful or for protesting. What they were arrested for was specifically blocking access to an abortion clinic. Now, what the pro-life movement needs to do is not whine and complain about some two-tiered justice system, which, while I guess it kind of sort of exists, it doesn't necessarily exist the way that they're trying to make it seem like it exists. Instead of whining and complaining about some sort of two-tiered justice system, what us pro-lifers really need to be doing is pushing to get that FACE Act either like repealed or changed. Because saying, oh, we have a two-tiered justice system, that's not the real problem. They actually did break the law. They actually did block this abortion clinic. So if you get arrested for something and then you get convicted for something and you actually did the thing that you're being accused of, what should you do? Should you say, oh, the justice system is two-tiered? Or do you just say, oh, yeah, I did the thing. I don't think that this thing should be illegal, but I did do the thing, so, I am guilty. What these pro-life activists should be doing is saying, like, yeah, we did this. We're not sorry. And, we'll take any punishment because we did what we thought was right and we saved lives. And make no mistake, by the way, I'm pro-life. These activists most certainly saved lives on that day. But we also have to be honest about the fact that they broke the law. And so if you're mad about a law that exists, and I talk about this with illegal immigration, if you're mad about a law existing, what you should do is instead of saying that law should not be enforced, what you should do is you should say, hey, let's change that law. Because there are many unjust and incorrect laws that exist in this country. The FACE Act, I don't even think that necessarily is the first step, right? Like abortion should be what's banned, not necessarily the FACE Act. But the FACE Act is just one of those laws where, blocking an abortion facility literally saves lives. People are not allowed to go out and save lives because in this fashion because it's illegal. Well, I think that as Christians, we should be respecting the law. I completely understand why someone might want to break the law in this circumstance because, hey, you want to save lives. I get that. That's not something I'm going to be mad about necessarily. But you know what I am going to be mad about is lying about saving those lives. These people were extremely vocal while they were there about wanting to block access from women who wanted to kill their babies, keeping them from doing so. And now all of a sudden the narrative is changing. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Look, the pro-life cause is such an easy one to defend. You don't need to lie about it in order to support it. And by lying about the events, we make our entire movement look worse. And, we should not be doing anything that would hurt the pro-life cause. So, look, pro-lifers, conservatives, look, let's get it together. Instead of lying about what happened, let's focus on what actually did happen and then finding ways to move forward. Maybe we could push against the FACE Act. Maybe there's some other things that we can do. But, this ain't it, Chief. Of all of the things that you could do, lying about what happened at this protest was probably the worst option that you could have picked. So I hope that many of these people are going to go back to their commentary. I know that it was only 2 weeks ago, but go back to their commentary, research what actually happened, reflect, and then move forward, being like, you know what, I'm going to make a better commitment to be more honest about what happened when I am criticizing these types of events. Because you're going to lose a lot of credibility, even though you're on the right side of this issue and you're going to be on the right side of history, even in the long run. You're going to lose a lot of credibility when you just run around lying about these protests. Like, you just cannot be doing that. So that absolutely needs to stop. They're literally misleading people about why they were arrested. So you're deceiving people, as well as preventing people from being outraged at the thing that they should be upset about the most, right? Which is that abortion is legal and that you're not allowed to save babies by blocking access to abortion. That's the real problem.